Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I want you to think about this for a second. If you're feeling a little off lately, a little wonky, a little weird, people are acting differently, or you're seeing things come clear, or you have suspicions of things, and now it's kind of crystallizing. There's a reason apparently for that energetically. She's going to answer some of those questions. I'm just the observer. I'm sitting back here just watching it all go on. But she's the expert as a Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner at Inner Journey Reiki. Purnima Chaudhari joins us back here on the program. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Great. Because, I have had the practice of holding myself in the eye of the storm. So it feels like a storm kind of energy, like, almost like an eclipse that's happening. But I'm observing, I'm witnessing everything and what's going on, even for me personally. But I'm able to separate my ego self and observe what is going on for me or for everybody else around me. And it's there's a lot going on here.
I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying. And the removing your ego self, I get that as well, because I'm watching things go on, just people reacting, things like that. And some of those things, quite honestly, should bother me. And like for a second, I'm like, "Bah," and I'm like, I don't really care. And
Mhm.
I just like let it go and just watch what's going on and just kind of kicking back. But do you feel this way? Or maybe you can put it into better words than I can. I feel it's for the better. Like with a Mercury retrograde, I'd be sitting there and looking at everything and it would feel dark and heavy. This feels a little lighter, almost as if it's information being given to you so that you can navigate relationships and yourself better. So I look at it and I'm not trying to, just doesn't feel as heavy. I'm looking at it as a more positive kind of situation. How do you feel?
Steve, I feel like it's hitting people. Everyone is, seeing this or feeling this or experiencing it in a different way. So it's hitting
Yeah.
people in different ways, and everybody is different. But certainly and I don't want to get into the astrology, but all the astrological events and everything that's going on right now, I feel like it's contributing to this shift that we are feeling. And you know, what I have been receiving is that we are releasing energies and, aligning ourselves more and more.
Hmm.
More and more of our authentic self is being revealed through our experiences. And so we are, increasing our capacity to hold more light, because that's where the shift starts happening. Because we all, there are no exceptions here. Doesn't matter how evolved you are, but we all have a shadow self. All have our culturally created self, our dormant self, which, when
Hmm.
we have these interactions with people around us, we experience them projecting their shadows or us doing that. And sometimes, we are not aware of it and we keep looping in that same energy. And then suddenly it hits us and we become aware, well, like, why am I feeling this way? And I believe that whatever goes on around us is a reflection of what is going on within us and what we need to clear. So I feel like this is very potent energy to do shadow work and become like, I've been hyper aware of my thoughts, and when I'm interacting with someone, what comes up for me, I've been so aware of it, and
Hmm.
then really trying to see where this is rooted, where is it coming from, and do I want to continue feeling this way? No. So then what can I do about it? So awareness is the first step to change and shift, and so
Hmm.
becoming aware is very important.
When you
Yeah.
say shadow work, a lot of us hear that term maybe not familiar with it. Can you define it?
Hmm. So, I mean, many people must have heard of psychoanalyst Carl Jung, and he uh, coined some terms, with like the unconscious or the subconscious, where we hold trauma or experiences that then when we are experiencing certain things or in relationships, for example, those form the basis of like how we are reacting to certain things, whether they're uh, some things that people say to us or do to us. We react to that in a certain way, and that reaction is based in that energy that we're holding in the subconscious.
Hmm.
So, as like, I give this example in the classes that I teach, where a child is born, and if you look at the child, sweet innocent child, like the eyes, and all you feel is love for that child, because there's that divine innocence and love that oozes out of a child, right?
And I say this all the time that every child that's born, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Assuming the child A and child B are healthy, doesn't matter where they're
Mhm.
from, their cultural background, none of that. They're all born the same. It's like a fresh slate, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And it's like the embodiment of the divine, of source. And so, and that child starts growing up, they start interacting with the adults around them. Then eventually they start developing speech. They start going to school, and then they're told, this is right, this is wrong, do this, don't do this. All this conditioning starts happening. And that conditioning will create the culturally created self, which is
Hmm.
not like the authentic self, because it's a conditioned self. And so anytime, a child does something that they have been told that this is wrong, don't do this, there's like that guilt and shame that arises. It's an automatic thing. And
Hmm.
then, it's not processed, it's not dealt with. And then also at the same time, uh, traumas can happen in the childhood that can also create a lot of energies that the child does not have the capacity to process that, and that creates the dormant self. The dormant self is something that is we are not aware what is in the dormant self, because it's in the subconscious mind. There's no awareness. There's it's unfathomable what kind of energies and what all we can be holding there. And it's not just from this lifetime, it could be from other lifetimes as well. So it's a very convoluted
Wow.
concept to understand. But when we start observing, when we start observing our behavior, our patterns, our reactions to situations, we realize that, okay, this is rooted somewhere. And then sometimes, things come to surface. And most times it happens through, relationships, I find is a way where we start noticing some patterns. Like, some women will say, why do I keep attracting the same kind of guy? Right? Like they go through several relationships, but they're attracting the same kind of person.
Yep.
And it's all coming from that shadow self. So shadow work is something that, there are professionals who help people to do that. But, I find that the easiest way to do shadow work is with Reiki. And shadow work is not something that set aside time. Like you say, okay, this weekend, I'm going to do shadow work. I'm going to sit and prod. It doesn't work that way. Shadow work should be done when you're actually experiencing that energy, that shadow. So, for example, this full moon in Capricorn was in the crisis degree of Capricorn. Going into that energy, I started observing my mind, and it was like literally spinning out of control. Like there were so many thoughts, and I have so many tools in my toolbox. Like I was doing everything I could to make it, uh, peaceful and calm, but I would go there and then I would start again, come back into that loop. So I started observing, and all the thoughts that I was having were rooted in the shadows that I was experiencing. And so I was observing it, and it became very clear, it became very evident, like there were some triggers in, like, around me. And those triggers, whether it's people or situations, those people or situations triggered those shadows, and they came to light. So
Wow.
now I had the opportunity to shine light on them and then process it, that it's okay. And I started observing and realizing that what I'm feeling is not true. It's just this energy that is projecting it. And so I do not agree with it, with clarity, with the light that's shining on the shadow. I do not agree with it. And I'm willing to let it go fully. I release it into the light. And so I did, this release. And even during the full moon healing circle that I host every full moon, I had a beautiful experience where I was actually seeing the faces of the people that triggered me. And and then I was starting to see how they and I are one. Like there's this separation that happens in the 3D reality. But then, because I was ascended to a higher level of consciousness, I was aware of that separation in the lower uh, realms or dimensions.
Huh.
And I saw that there's this unity, and we are all one, and we are all mirrors for each other. We are mirroring each other. And so whatever you don't like in a person, it is already present within you. So they are showing
Ooh,
you the mirror.
ooh, 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 that hurt.
Yeah. And so it's for up to us to go within and see, okay, I don't like this. Am I holding that energy? And so if I am, I'm willing to let it go, and I'm willing to forgive myself and forgive this person, and I'm letting go of this energy, and I bring myself back into love. And so the question is, how deeply can you love?
Wow. All right. That's profound. That's a big deal. So I want to go back to what you said. Put the microscope on it for a moment. So when you don't like something in someone, it's you that you don't like. It's that
Mhm.
quality. Am I getting that right?
Yes, we always hold it, and the Hawaiians have this ancient practice of ho'oponopono. I
Oh no.
don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard it.
Forgiveness. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
forgiveness.
yes, forgiveness. So it's like, realizing that you're one with everything, and you are the center of your universe. You are the sovereign being of your universe and your creation. So everybody around you is a version of you. If you are
Wow.
vibrating at a higher frequency, at a higher um, dimension, you are meeting people at that level. And you will meet others too, but you come down and then you go up. It's like this ladder that you keep going up and down, or this elevator. And so if you have someone that you have a relationship with, and if you want to meet a higher version of them, like who is, very centered and grounded, and like,
Yep.
not in their shadow self a lot. So to meet them, you would have to elevate yourself to that level, because your version of that level is not where you're vibrating right now, because you're seeing the shadows. So you have to, does that make sense, what I'm
Uh,
saying?
Unfortunately, it does. In a good way. Um,
Yeah.
and I would imagine that you have to elevate your vibration on a consistent basis or as much consistency as possible. Because, like you said, we're like this, that's life.
Hmm.
And it has to be legitimate, because I can walk into the gym before I go to the gym, so just as a test some days. And I say, raise your vibration, raise it up, bring it up. It's a good day. Bring it up, bring it up.
Hmm.
And I'll
Hmm.
walk in, and many times people I see there every day don't even know who they are. Yeah, you pass each other. They start saying hello. Hey, how you doing? Hey, as strangers. And I really truly believe that it's because I intentionally raise my vibration. So
Hmm.
that being said, to what you're saying, now you're on a level where if you're going to connect with higher vibrational people, you have to be, it has to be more consistent. That's my feeling. It can't be just a
Hmm.
one off. Um,
Hmm.
and how do you get that way? You do the work. You have to
Hmm.
heal. You have to realize things. Um,
Hmm.
this period that we're in energetically, in your opinion, what would you put it on a 10 scale? 10 being, whoa, this is like some crazy energy going on here. A lot of realizations, lots going on. 1 to 10 scale. Where would you put this time right now?
I would give it a full 10. Because
Yeah,
I mean, this is a pivotal year for us personally. I talk to a lot of people, and I feel like everybody is going through something. There's not a single person here who is like status quo, nothing is going on, and no growth and evolution happens if you're in status quo. Like it, because it's like you're cruising along. There's no, energies that are going to wake you up or,
sure.
shake you up. So um, I feel like, even the astrology is wild right now. So, we're
Mhm.
all experiencing in some shape or form something that is shifting us, but it's for the good, and we are becoming better versions of ourselves
Agreed.
ultimately.
Yeah.
It's for
If
that.
you use it, if you use it to its benefit and you're aware of it, and if we spoke 5 years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Now, in the last 5 days, I've had profound things come up. That's all I'm going to
Mhm.
say. Signs were shown to me, even from call it spirit. And I know, there's skeptical people out there, and I am one of them, but I can't deny some of the things that have presented themselves, even synchronicities concerning dates of things
Mhm.
that took place in the last couple of days. Mind blowing.
Yeah,
It's almost to
yeah.
I don't even tell people because I think unless you get it, they're gonna look at me like, yeah, okay. Well, all right, then why is it all happening now? And I'm just aware of
Yeah,
it. And this could all be happening to all of us. I'm just I believe, more tuned in. Uh, thanks to people
yeah,
like you.
yeah. Yeah, and yeah, you're more aware of what is going on, and you're not brushing it aside. You're analyzing it and
Oh yeah.
thinking
Oh
of
yeah.
like how it can help you to shift and become more authentic, uh,
Totally.
and yeah, so everyone has the opportunity to do the work, and it's something that nobody else can do for you. And I feel like this work happens on an ongoing basis. It's not something like you set aside time for it. You have to do it while you're experiencing it.
Yeah, I get
You
that.
cannot brush it aside. If you brush it aside, it becomes a shadow. But when you process it, you're able to release that shadow into the light, and then you feel light, you feel centered, you are, seeing the good in everything, even if it logically or in our ego mind it feels like this is horrible,
Right.
but we are able to see the good side of it, you know and because
Yes.
everything up close in the 3D, everything is like, and the polarity is increasing, by the day, like so much polarity in our world. But that is because it will make us more uncomfortable to be there. And so we were like, okay, we need to, release this. But it's the fundamental fact of the 3D, that we see these opposites and and we identify with them. That's the thing that makes us shift away from our center, is we start identifying. Like, we've labeled things as right and wrong, good and bad, negative and positive, or light and dark. We've labeled them because that's how we perceive them in 3D. But when we are able to raise our vibration, we see them as complementary opposites. We don't judge them. There's no judgment that this is right or this is wrong. We don't identify with it. We observe it, we witness it, and we acknowledge it the way it is. We accept it the way it is. There's no, and so then we are able to bring that neutral, unconditional love within our heart, because we are not judging or identifying with anything. If someone is in our conditioned mind being negative or being wrong in whatever they're doing, and it's a human nature, we will identify it as right or wrong because we're conditioned that way. But then there's no point in staying in that loop of that identification. We can raise our vibration and then look at it neutrally. Oh, this person said this to me, but why did they say it? It's coming from their conditioning. They are not saying it to you, they're projecting it. They don't. So if you don't take it personally, it's not going to impact you.
And that's just what I experienced in when we first started talking today, where things have come up in this period, where I'd be like, where's that? And I'm like, I don't really care. Like I really don't. Like, wait a minute, that should bother me. No, it doesn't. And even situations with people around me are saying, wait a minute, you see what they did? Blah, blah, blah. Meaning, I might have been maybe disrespected, done wrong in a situation. I'm like, I really don't care. I don't, it doesn't, I don't really care. I honestly don't. It doesn't, that's them. Let them do their thing. And the butterfly, let it fly away. It's all good. Learn something from it though. And that's good. Learn something from you today, in that what people do are mirroring what we do. Well, I think myself and others will be processing that for a while. We're out of time. It's interesting. Before we get on here, we just said, man, it's a weird, wonky time. Want to talk about it? And we could keep going. There's a lesson in everything. There's a lesson in everything.
Yes.
How does somebody connect with you, Purnima, if they want to unpack some of this, do the shadow work, maybe even learn how to do some of this stuff?
Well, this is something that we train, like with the basic training, we talk a little bit about it, but we also give you practical tools to do this work. It's very powerful and very easy as well. I want to emphasize that, because sometimes you have tools that take a lot of effort, but this is easy because it's like channeling source energy, which knows everything and knows how to do it. So all you have to do is channel. So learn channeling energy, source energy, and you'll find all the information on my website. I also do one-on-one sessions, which bring a lot of information and a lot of healing. So innerjourneyreiki.com, that's my website, or people can follow me on Instagram at Purnima_Chaudhari. DM me there if you have any questions.
Yeah, you are the master. And I mean that sincerely. Yes, you're a master, a Reiki master and teacher, but you are the master out of many who I've spoken to about this subject. It's your thing, and I appreciate that. Love you, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Steve.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.